host, Vivienne Von Dread, with your daily dread. And today, we have a special treat for you all, a very special story with a guest reader. Enjoy.
Today's story is another one by Wren Valentino, entitled Pumpkin Love Charm. I'll leave it to our guest reader, Makayla McIntosh. Take it away, Makayla.
Do you believe in love? The question made Bridget Perry take a pause. Sitting in a white Romulus rattan armchair in a claustrophobic room was already causing her anxiety to soar. To make things even more intense than the topic of love, the decor was scary at best, resembling the dark den of a voodoo priestess. From the low ceilings hung thin strands of tiny purple and gold lights intertwined with dangling, mostly decapitated dolls, an assortment of dream catchers and wooden wind chimes, and what Bridget assumed were animal bones. "I'm not really sure how to answer that question," she replied, glancing up at the objects above her head. She squinted to make out words printed on the bare feet of a swaying doll. Made in China. Just as Bridget expected. Like life, everything in Olga's love potion parlor was for show, especially in the private back room. "This is all a sham. Every part of it. I need to leave." "Well, isn't that why you're here?" The dark-haired woman sitting across from Bridget was at least twice her age, which meant she was at least 50. Her makeup was dramatic and reminded Bridget of a painting she'd once seen of Cleopatra. Her outfit looked like something purchased out of a costume catalog under the category of fortune teller, complete with glittery scarves and silver hoop earrings. "I'm here because my best friend Joy tricked me into coming," Bridget explained, wondering if she sounded as annoyed as she felt. The woman leaned in and raised a perfectly penciled eyebrow. "Are you easily tricked?" Bridget held her inquisitive stare. "Apparently I am. She told me we were meeting here for a painting class," Bridget said. "You know, the kind where you drink a glass of wine and project your feelings onto a blank canvas. Clearly, that's not this." "No, it's not," the woman agreed. "Your friend, Joy?" "Yes," the woman said. "She's a liar." Wait, did she just develop an accent? Like, why does she suddenly sound like Dracula? Bridget decided to give Joy the benefit of a doubt, despite the fact she was a no-show. "I really think she had the best intentions," she said. "See, I went through a bad breakup about a year ago." "You don't say." "I know sarcasm when I hear it," Bridget said. "Let me guess. You hear this sort of thing all the time. How many other women come in here with a broken heart?" "I sell love potions for a living," the store owner said. "Sort of a job hazard." "Now where's she from?" "Are you a gypsy?" Bridget said. The woman made a haughty sound. "I am not," she insulted. "I'm from Canada." "How did you end up in Chicago?" "How did you?" she shot back. Bridget's expression turned suspicious as she looked at her. "Don't you know? I thought you were a psychic." "You also thought you were here to drink cheap wine and paint lousy pictures." Point taken. The room was stuffy. Already Bridget was starting to sweat. "Is your name really Olga?" "No, it's Constance." "Then where's Olga? I mean, this place is named after her." "She's in a cemetery about a mile from here. She sold me this place, and a year later she dropped dead," Constance explained. "She never saw it coming. Poor thing." Standing, Bridget glided with a wind chime which rattled before emitting the ripple of a deep sound. "I have to go. I'm sorry I wasted your time." "Wait!" Turning toward the beaded, arched doorway, Bridget stopped, intrigued by the commanding tone of Constance's voice. "I think I can help you." "No offense, but I'm good," Bridget said. She slid her hands into her coat, and once they were out of sight, she curled them into fists. Lately, she had been consumed by anger. "I'm actually going to stop at this amazing hole-in-the-wall Chinese place on my way home. Shezhuang Garden. Whoever said we shouldn't eat in our feelings must have never been a single woman in her 20s living in Chicago. And this is why you're a big girl. Are you sure you're from Canada? I thought people from your country were supposed to be nice." "I think you do believe in love," Constance said, "but it scares you." "On a good day, yes," Bridget said with a nod. "I'm done with it. with love, with men. It's not for me. I'm not cut out for it. You're too young to be bitter about love. Ouch. Bridget's eyes welled with tears. Last 3 men I've dated... the only 3 men I've dated either lied or cheated or both. Constance was on her feet. She was taller than Bridget, towering over her by almost a foot. She moved to a wall of built-in drawers. She pulled one open and said with certainty, "But the 4th one will not." Bridget shook her head, denying the possibility of what Constance, the Canadian, was suggesting. There isn't going to be a 4th one, because after I murdered Joy for tricking me into coming here, I'm going to move to a convent and become a nun. Constance's face lit up with a mischievous grin, slowly creeping from the corners of her mouth. "No, you're not," she said. "You will meet a man by Halloween. I hate to break it to you, but that's a week away." From the drawer, the woman pulled out a small green velvet box with a small gold heart stuck on top of it. "Then take this to speed up the process." She reached out, offering the box to a curious but cautious Bridget. "What is it?" Bridget asked, still not accepting the gift. "It's a sacred love charm," Constance explained. "Do not open the box until you want to activate it. It only works once. If you don't use it by midnight on Halloween, it loses all of its power. Don't be an idiot. Use it. Really, it's your only hope. Not your Chinese food you love so much." Bridget let out a small laugh, amused by the absurdity of the moment. "I'm almost sad enough to believe you. Girls like you, they never believe at first," said Constance. "Then they come back to me to say thank you, usually on their way to get a chapel to get married to the man of their dreams." "Oh, let me get this right," Bridget said, silently cursing Joy's existence. "I'm supposed to take this box home, then open it before midnight on Halloween and activate the love charm inside of it, and then some guy is going to show up out of nowhere and fall in love with me?" Constance looked smug when she said, "Precisely." "Is this a prank?" said Bridget. "Did Joy put you up to this? If so, it's really mean." "This is no parlor trick," Constance insisted with conviction. "It is a love charm. Use it or don't. The choice is yours." Contemplating, Bridget stared at the box for a few seconds. "Fine," she said with reluctance. "I'll take it. What else do I have to lose?" "Excellent," Constance said, smiling. "That will be $35, and I don't take personal checks." After leaving Olga's Love Potion Parlor, Bridget headed to her favorite Chinese spot. The sun was down. With the sun now set and the temperature dropping, the city was enveloped in a dazzling but sparkling blanket. Thankful she remembered to bring a coat when she left her apartment earlier that afternoon, Bridget kept her hands warm in big pockets. In the left one, her fingers brushed against the softness of the velvet box. Tempted to throw the useless thing in a trash can or in the gutter, Bridget did her best to ignore objects and instead pre-wrote the text message in her mind she would soon send to Joy. And what a message it would be. "Dear former best friend, you have interfered in my non-existent love life for the last time. I do not need a man. I only need chow mein. You and love charms can suck it. Never your best friend again, Bridget." By the time Sichuan Garden was in sight, Bridget was warming up. She unbuttoned her coat and wiped her damp forehead with the back of her hand. Seeing the restaurant come into view always brought a smile to her face. Passing one of the few payphones left in the city, Bridget quickened her pace, knowing her delicious destination was just a few yards away. Sandwiched between a used record store and strangely quiet Irish pub, the all-night spot was garish and bold, screaming for attention with its red and white rounded awning and a vibrant red and yellow sign. The name of the restaurant was spelled out in a retro font that reminded Bridget of the titles of badly dubbed kung fu movies her younger brother Zach used to force her to watch when she got stuck babysitting him, which was usually every Saturday night. Those walking past it couldn't ignore Sichuan Garden if they tried. Bridget always thought the name was misleading. While the food seemed like it was authentic Sichuan cuisine, there was no garden in sight. As Bridget approached the smudged glass double doors, she couldn't help but notice the countless fingerprints marring their surface. However, her eyes were drawn to the bright red neon open sign, offering a sense of familiarity and warmth. As she stepped closer, she caught sight of the cracks in the sidewalk illuminated by the soft glow of an old-fashioned street lamp hugging the edge of a curb. Together, these small details created a comforting and welcoming atmosphere. Inside, the bright ceiling fluorescence reminded Bridget of an interrogation room she'd seen on detective shows, where they blind the suspect into confessing with an intense light in their eyes. There was no escaping the truth here, not even if Bridget tried. The floor was dingy. The walls were adorned with faded watercolor paintings of Chinese country landscapes. Orange paper lanterns were holding on for their lives, hanging from fishing lines tacked into the ceiling, threatening to burst into flames at any second by dancing against the fluorescent tubes every time the front doors opened. Only a few of the lanterns were illuminated. Most of the bulbs in the others were burnt out. Approaching the counter, Bridget watched the stone-faced older Chinese woman turn away from her always-on portable television and make her way to the warm food cases, a scooping spoon in one hand and a takeout carton in the other, armed and ready. "Can I have a large chow mein, please?" Bridget said, ordering her favorite dish for the umpteenth time. Despite the vast number of nights Bridget had stood in the same spot, ordering the same thing, she and the woman behind the counter had never exchanged a word. There were no warm smiles, no small talk, no acknowledgement of Bridget's frequent appearance, just a woman and her soup and a permanent scowl. After she paid for her food, Bridget took the carton and a plastic fork and sat down in her usual spot. It was a booth whose upholstered seats looked like the stabbing victim, yet the shoddiness was worth it for the chance to sit in the front window. Bridget loved sitting here because it gave her the perfect perch to people watch. Strangers passed while she slurped up chow mein noodles and imagined stories from their mysterious lives. Before the people watching could commence, Bridget had to get her food just right. A few splashes of soy sauce and a couple of drops of hot chili oil later, the noodles were now just the way Bridget liked them. Realizing she hadn't eaten anything in hours, she slid off her coat, anxious and eager. From its hidden space, the green velvet box tumbled out of a coat pocket and hit the grimy floor with a soft thud. Curious, Bridget picked up the box and placed it on the table in front of her. Staring at it with contemplation, she flipped the top of the box open. Inside was a heart-shaped pumpkin charm, complete with the green stem with a hole in its center that a thin necklace could be looped through. While cute, the charm seemed simple and didn't suggest it was sacred or magical, as Constance the Canadian liar had implied. "Duped again," Bridget said, chiding herself for being foolish enough to spend $35 on something obviously fake. Why am I such a loser? To answer her own question, Bridget took a bite of noodles while taking a deeper look at her surroundings and situation. Like her heart, the overlit restaurant was empty. "I'm sitting all alone, shoving my face with Chinese food on a Saturday night. Chicago, why are you cruel to a single woman?" Then she saw him. Outside, walking up the street before eventually passing by the front window. He was a tall black man who looked to be a few years older than Bridget. He was dressed with distinction in a dark green overcoat, business attire, and expensive-looking shiny shoes. The glasses he wore framed his gorgeous face perfectly. At first, Bridget assumed the sight of the handsome stranger had taken her breath away, and that's why she was choking. Then she realized she'd sucked down a noodle and it was shimmying down her throat with a fight. Concerned, the man did a double take, staring at her through the smudged window. They locked eyes, which only caused Bridget's face to redden from embarrassment. On her feet, she rushed to a nearby cooler, reached inside, and helped herself to a bottle of water. She uncapped it and took a gulp, swallowing. By then, the man was inside the restaurant, walking in her direction. Bridget turned back and returned to her table. The pumpkin love charm caught her eye as it glowed with a bright orange light from within. Activated. There's no way that stupid little piece of metal is not responsible for this beautiful man who's standing right next to me. That's not possible. "Are you all right?" His voice was warm, deep, and tender. Nervous, Bridget glanced up, fearful if she made direct eye contact with him, something utterly stupid would fall out of her mouth on impulse. She looked at the charm. The light dimmed before it resumed its quaint, simple look. "I'm fine, thank you," she said. "Apparently I don't know how to eat noodles. They can be dangerous when they want to be." He sounded kind and sweet. Funny, even. Why does he have to be so nice? And why did he leave the house without any makeup on? And oh my God, he smells so good. "I'm Jeffrey," he said. "And you are?" Still staring at the charm and wondering if somehow Constance wasn't the liar, Bridget suspected she was, words slipped from her mind and out of her mouth. "The pumpkin." "Pumpkin." Jeffrey sounded amused. "Your name is Pumpkin?" Bridget rose to her feet and came face to face with the most beautiful man she'd ever laid eyes on. "No, my name is Bridget," she said, slightly embarrassed once more. "Bridget Perry. It's nice to meet you, Jeffrey. I'm on my way to a work dinner thing I have to go to, but it's nice to meet you too." Jeffrey turned to leave. "Say something now, or regret it later." Moving fast, Bridget shoved the pumpkin love charm and the green velvet box into her coat pocket and sealed up her to-go carton of food. "Are you heading to the L train by any chance?" she asked. "I'm on my way to the Fullerton stop." "I am," Jeffrey said with a soft smile. "I'd be happy to walk you there." As they stepped out of the Szechuan garden, Bridget shivered a little. The temperature had dropped even more. The night air had an icy bite to it. She stopped for a moment to button up her coat, careful not to drop her box of chow mein in the process. An awkward silence occurred when they started to walk shoulder to shoulder, and as they reached the end of the first block, Jeffrey cleared his throat before he spoke. "I just moved here a few months ago." "Oh, for school?" "For a job." Bridget stopped in her tracks. "You have a job?" "Yeah," Jeffrey said with a small laugh. "I'm an architect." Bridget started to walk again, processing everything about this gorgeous man. He was becoming more perfect by the moment. "That's not a job, that's a career," she said. "I'm a temp, a receptionist, really. I work for a company, and I have no idea what they do. Something with the stock market and an app. It's all lost on me. I'm taking classes at night at a community college, that is, until I figure out what I want to do with my life." "You will." "Easy for you to say," Bridget said. "We just met. I think I'm a late bloomer, and adulting doesn't come easy to me." They stopped at the corner, waiting for the walk sign to appear. "You're different," Jeffrey said. Uh-oh. "What do you mean?" He sounded concerned. "Usually when a guy tells me I'm different, it's code for fast track to the friend zone." He looked at her with a delicious grin. "Are we friends?" "Considering this is the longest in-person conversation I've had with a human in months, yes," Bridget said. "We might even be besties by the time we get to the train station." They started to cross the street. The city seemed changed, almost magical. Bridget took the moment in, letting it seep into her soul. "I think it's really cool that you're an architect. To tell you the truth, I love it. You design buildings and houses and stuff like that." "For now, but what I really want to do is buy up some land and create communities where people who need a second chance at life can live," explained Jeffrey. "I feel like everyone deserves a second chance, don't you?" "Is he make-believe? Am I imagining him?" "I've been known to give people 5 or 6 chances," Bridget said. "Sometimes more." As they approached the train station, Bridget let out a soft sigh. Sensing she could spend hours talking to Jeffrey, her heart was sinking at the thought of never seeing him again. "You've had your heart broken a few times," he said. "I can tell." She nodded. "I lost count at 100. Same here." "I can't imagine someone breaking your heart. You seem so nice." "Nice guys get hurt too," he said. "My ex-girlfriend decided an affair with a married man offered her more than I could. No offense, but your ex-girlfriend should be medicated." The sound of Jeffrey's laughter caused Bridget's face to light up with joy. They'd reached their destination. Stopping outside the Fullerton L train stop, they stood face to face. "I take it you don't have a boyfriend?" Jeffrey said. It sounded like he was asking for Bridget's permission to say or do something. "No," she said, "and I don't. And if I did, I'd break up with him by text on my way home." Jeffrey laughed again. Bridget couldn't help but stare at his mouth with longing. How could a man be so handsome and so polite? "Why would you do that?" he asked. "It doesn't matter," she said with a giggle. "I'm single. I'm very single, Jeffrey." "Well, then this must be my lucky night." "It is," she said, holding his intensely warm gaze. "It really is. In fact, you don't even know how lucky." "Lucky enough to ask you out?" Words didn't come at first, but Bridget nodded in response until she could find her voice to say, "It would be insane to say no." "It's okay if you're a little crazy, pumpkin," he said. "I like that." "Yes, I would love to go out with you, Jeffrey. In fact, I would like that very much." "Great," he said. "I'm supposed to go to a Halloween party tomorrow night. Costumes are optional." She gave him a look. "Costumes are never optional." "True," he agreed. "I'm planning to go as Superman." He looked into her eyes. "Want to be my Lois Lane?" Bridget's face flushed with warmth. The way he was looking at her was unlike anything she'd ever experienced before. That's not really a costume, Jeffrey, she said, but yes, I do. Awesome. It's at the Velvet Siren on Clark Street. I know where it is. Want to meet me there at 9 o'clock? Jeffrey asked. I'll be the one out front in a red cape. Bridget's studio apartment felt like it was swallowing her alive. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stop pacing. Jeffrey invaded her every thought. She'd only said goodbye to him an hour ago, and already she was panicking about their planned date the following night. Digging into her coat pocket for her cell phone, she rediscovered the pumpkin love charm in the green velvet box. She took both items out and placed them on her small kitchen table for two. Waiting to see if the charm would glow again like it had at the Szechuan garden, Bridget felt a twinge of disappointment when the charm did nothing but be a charm. An idea struck her, causing her to go across the room and go to a 3-drawer bureau crammed into a tiny space between the wall and the foot of her twin bed. Sitting on the bureau was a white and gold trimmed music box. As she lifted the lid, a sweet melody by Chopin started to play. Bridget reached inside and pulled out a thin gold necklace. The second it was in her hand, a mixture of emotions started to swirl. The necklace was the one thing she left to remember her father by, a gift he'd given her on her 13th birthday only 2 months before he was killed in a motorcycle accident on an icy road, leaving her mother, and her younger brother to shift to a sad life without him. Bridget returned to the nearly non-existent kitchen area of her tiny apartment and slid the gold chain through the loop on the green stem of the pumpkin love charm. Using the reflective surface of her toaster, she put the necklace on and stared at her smudged reflection. Maybe the ridiculous charm really was lucky after all. Distracted by the sound of her cell phone ringing, Bridget turned away from the toaster and fished her phone out of the other coat pocket. She answered the call on the third ring. "Hello, Joy," she said with thick sarcasm. "I'm not speaking to you until Thanksgiving for making me feel dumb and single and loveless. You tricked me. Painting and wine? Really, Joy? It was a love potion store run by a mean Canadian." Bridget took a breath, allowing Joy to profusely apologize on the other end of the phone. "Fine, I'll give you a reprieve from your planned punishment, but only because I need your help." Bridget touched the charm that was now lying flat against her skin in a space just above her heart. "I need you to help me become Lois Lane." Dressed for the costume party in what she felt like was her best Lois Lane look, Bridget stepped onto the L train the following night with time to kill before her planned reunion with Jeffrey. Deciding that maybe Constance wasn't a liar after all and the pumpkin love charm had indeed worked, Bridget headed back to Olga's Love Potion Parlor, intending to thank Constance for having some sort of part in bringing Jeffrey into her life, even if it were only one date. Happy to see the shop was still open, Bridget nearly collided with a young woman who was leaving Olga's in what appeared to be a rush. "Oh, sorry," the woman said. Her dark hair was pulled up into a ponytail. Her cute face was sprinkled with a dusting of adorable freckles. She could be older than 20. "I'm so excited. Are you here for a love potion?" "I'm not," Bridget said with pride and a little hope. "I just came by to say thank you." The woman's expression rapidly changed. Her smile slid into a scowl. Her blue eyes narrowed, staring intently at the pumpkin charm hanging around Bridget's neck. "I knew it," she said. "The pumpkin charm. Did you get that here?" "I did. It was sort of a gift from Constance. She sold me that same charm for $50 5 minutes ago, and she said her name was Anastasia." Bridget felt deflated. So much for magic. It was a scam, just as she had originally suspected. "Well, it looks like we both got lied to." Furious, the incensed woman turned back into the shop prepared for battle. "I'm getting my money back." She gave Bridget a look, as if she were seeking solidarity. "Are you coming with me?" "No, I can't," she explained. I have a date." The woman snorted and said, "Lucky you." "Thanks. By the way, I like your outfit," the angry stranger said. You look a lot like Jackie Kennedy." Heading to the costume party on foot, Bridget felt more dejected with each step. Even though she was sweating in her homemade Lois Lane costume and ridiculous pillbox hat and the Velvet Siren was more than a mile away, she was grateful for the time to collect her thoughts. "I know what I saw. This stupid little love charm glowed the second I laid eyes on Jeffrey. I know I didn't imagine it, even if Constance really is a money-making liar." Feeling foolish for believing something so ridiculous could even be possible, Bridget slipped into a pattern of deprecating thoughts that collectively ensnared her into an invisible web of self-doubt, whom she knew on a first-name basis because it was her eternal nemesis. It's my kryptonite, never believing that I'm good enough to be loved. Not just by a man, but anyone. Missing her father more than ever in that moment, Bridget brushed her fingertips against the thin gold chain, reminded of the few memories she had of him, the deep sound of his voice. As if it were a sign, a motorcycle whizzed by her. The young driver had the same curly dark hair as her father did. Bridget smiled at the thought of her father riding his bike somewhere in a different existence, his happiness fueled by his permanent freedom. Then she saw him. As promised, Jeffrey was standing outside the Velvet Siren, a glamorous nightclub with a sparkling sign. Basked in the glow of the swirling bulbs above him, Jeffrey looked exceptionally handsome in his Superman costume. Bridget couldn't help but notice his attire accentuated his athletic build nicely. When he smiled at the sight of her, all her sorrows faded away. There was something in his genuine expression of fondness that told her it was okay to believe in the possibility of love again, even though they'd just met 27 hours ago. But who was counting? "Hey there, Pumpkin," he said once she'd reached him. "Hello, Superman," she replied. "I like a man who's brave enough to wear tights and a cape at night in Chicago." "Why, thank you, Lois Lane," said Jeffrey. "I like your costume." "I decided to go with old school version of Lois," she explained. "I was inspired by Phyllis Coates." "Oh, wow," he said. "I'm impressed. I like a woman who does research." Secretly hoping Jeffrey would suggest they skip the costume party inside and explore a more intimate setting to discover more about each other, she said, "Someone told me I look like Jackie Kennedy." He gave her a second look. "Yeah, you kind of do, but I like it," Jeffrey said, grinning. Something caught his eye. He was staring at Bridget as if something were crawling on her. "Your pumpkin necklace, it's glowing. That's very cool." Bridget glanced down. "What is happening? I thought this thing was only supposed to work once." "Great. Just my luck. I buy a stupid fake love charm. The thing is defective." "Oh, wait. Is he going to kiss me?" "Yes, I think he is." "I love Halloween." Jeffrey leaned in closer. The light from the pumpkin love charm illuminated his face. Its soft reflection was caught in his eyes. He gently pressed his lips against Bridget's in a tender first kiss. "Happy early Halloween," he said as they pulled away. "Thank you," Bridget said, her words more purred than spoken. "It was really nice." "I liked it too." "Want to do it again?" he smiled. Bridget nodded. "Yes, please." He pulled Bridget closer to him. With his arms wrapped around her, she felt safe and beautiful. Should we skip the costume party and find somewhere to have a quiet but late dinner together? Bridget's face lit up with a grin as she responded, "I know where we can get some great Chinese food." "Hey," said Jeffrey, is it too soon to ask you what you're doing for the rest of the year?" The charm's glow diminished just as fast as it had ignited. Bridget looked up into Jeffrey's brown eyes and said, "Whatever it is, I hope it's with you."
Ooh, cutesy spooky. Thank you, Wren, for sharing your pumpkin love charm with us at the Velvet Coffin. And thank you, Makayla, for reading it for us all. And thank you, listeners, for visiting us once again at the Velvet Coffin. I'm your host, Vivienne Von Dread, with your Daily Dread. Now, goodbye. Get out. See you tomorrow.